My name is Bailey Hodge, and I chose to do my project over business in Germany. Germany and the United States do share several business values, but they also have contrasting views in some areas. So we're going to go over the important elements of German business culture and then compare them with the United States. So, let's- so this is a little bit of a geographic overview. You can see the map of Germany. Berlin is in bold, that's their capital. So Germany consists of 16 federal states and operates as a parliamentary democracy. Germany is much smaller geographically than the United States, with Germany being at about 137,000 square feet, and the United States is at about 3.8 million. So there's quite a bit of a difference there. But even though Germany is much smaller, they have a really important economy that really thrives. The central location of Germany in Europe is really good because it connects German business with consumers and trade partners all across Europe. So here is the currency costs and business travels in Germany. So Germany uses the euro. As of July 26, 1 euro is July 2026, 1 euro is approximately 1.14 US dollars. So business travelers should check the current rate before leaving because that does change quite often. Travelers should also prepare for some costs to exceed US averages. The International Trade Administration notes that transportation and business costs can be really high. Travel within Germany is genuinely convenient. The country has a major international airport, and it also has high-speed trains that go between multiple cities. Within the cities, you can use the trains, subways, trams, taxis. They have a lot more public transportation than the U.S. has because in the U.S., most of our we don't have that many train systems, and they have a lot. That is their main form of transportation. So, compared to the United States, Germany is a lot easier to navigate without having a car. In Germany's business and economic context, so a little bit of business history, their business environment was strongly influenced by the recovery after World War II. The Marshall Plan helped West Germany rebuild, and it became one of the six original members of the economic community that later developed into the European Union. East and West Germany were reunited in 1990. So this history helps explain the strong commitment to economic cooperation and stability in the European Church. Today, Germany has the strongest economy in the European Union. It's one of the largest economies in the world. Services make up a large part of its economy. High-tech manufacturing is really important there, and major industries include the automobiles, robotics, and construction. Germany has an export-oriented economy, meaning it's important trading relations, and one of these include the United States. Both Germany and the United States have advanced economies and high-skilled workers, so they're pretty similar in that aspect. But Germany's economy depends more on heavily exported exports and trade with the European Union. All right, so this is some cultural dimensions. So Hofstede is one way, their framework is one way that we can evaluate the culture in other countries. So, according to their cultural dimensions, we have the power distance. Employees, which is relatively low. Individualism is Germany and the United States both value independence. Um, Employees value independence and personal responsibility, although German workers place more emphasis on qualifications and clearly defined responsibilities. Trompeneur's framework focuses more on professional relationships and behaviors. Both the countries lean toward universalism, meaning the rules should generally apply consistently. Um, Germans tend to separate their personal and private lives a little bit more than the United States, so they may display greater emotional restraint during business decisions. Both American and German cultures respect achievement, but education and technical expertise is especially important for creating your name in Germany and credibility. So overall, these two cultures share some values such as independence and achievement, but the major difference is how those values are expressed. Germany is usually more formal and carefully structured and cautious, while American business is more informal and flexible. So when it comes to business dress, German business is pretty strict, formal, conservative, especially when meeting people for the first time. So in traditional professional settings, men usually wear like a dark suit, a dress shirt, ties are usually required, and then the clean shoes. And then women wear a professional suit or conservative dress, um, blouses that are tailored to fit good. Of course, for both of them, the clothes should be fit and neat and clean. And of course, the dress expectations vary by industry, but this is a pretty good overview of that. Compared to the United States, many German business environments appear more formal. In the United States, clothing that is like business casual is more common. So if you're going to Germany, you should pack some conservative suits and clothing because that's what they value there. The worldview and communication. German society has historically been influenced by Christianity and both Catholic and Protestant traditions. Martin Luther and the Protestant Reformation are important parts of their history. However, Germany is now a modern, religiously diverse country like the United States. Its basic laws protect religious freedom, and there's no official state church and religion's usually considered a private, which is really similar to the United States in that way. In business, German ideas about responsibility and ethics are strongly connected to the laws. So, according to a Palazzo, which is one of my sources, American companies are more likely to publicly emphasize ethic codes, while Germany companies have traditionally relied on the laws. Germany and the United States both are relatively low context cultures, meaning that people genuinely express their ideas through clear words instead of expecting others to interpret hidden messages. Americans often soften negative feedback with compliments, friendly language, and therefore Americans might interpret German directness as rude. Germans may interpret Americans' communication as positive or vague or insincere. Understanding that difference can prevent both sides from taking the other's communication style wrongly. So when it comes to meetings, decisions, and the hierarchy, German business meetings are normally scheduled in advance and follow clear structure. The International Trade Administration recommends arriving about 5 minutes early. Arriving more than 5 minutes after the scheduled time is considered rude. Participants should be prepared carefully and bring accurate facts, data, and documentation because German meetings usually follow a strict established agenda. Spontaneous changes are less welcome in Germany than they are in American culture. German decisions are commonly based on research evidence and technical expertise. Germany has a relatively low power distance, meaning the employees do not automatically accept authority without question. But German workplaces can still have clearly defined positions and responsibilities. Managers often establish credibility through qualifications. Compared with Germany, American workplaces often use first names, include more casual conversation, and allow more spontaneous ideas. Americans might interpret the German process of meetings as overly rigid or slow, while Germans might interpret American flexibility as disorganized or insufficiently prepared. German culture and history. So these are some of the taboos that if you're going to Germany, you should not talk about these things. Um, of course, jokes about Nazis and Holocaust and World War II are very sensitive. The country openly recognizes its history, but jokes about things like that are deeply inappropriate. Nazi gestures and symbols should never be used, even as a joke. So you need to approach Germany and history as seriously and respectfully as possible. Privacy is another important part. You should not ask about a person's income, family, religion, or private life because it feels intrusive to them, especially in a new professional relationship. Americans often use personal questions to connect, but Germans prefer to keep it professional and no small talk, really. Visitors should also avoid loud, public disruptive behavior. Um, Public expectations involve quieting hours, recycling, traffic laws, and shared spaces. Those are generally taken really seriously. So ignoring these expectations might be interpreted as inconsiderate. Americans should avoid stereotypes that portray Germans as like rigid, humorless, or unfriendly because that's not true. While it might be a little more common to see that rigidness in business, Germans are just like us. They're friendly, they have lives, they have fun, they have their own personalities. So these stereotypes can be rude. A common American mistake is becoming too informal too quickly. Humor, first names, and personal conversation are not really acceptable in when meeting a new person in Germany. They do like that when you've established a relationship, but the safest approach is to remain respectful with people. All right, then the practical tips and key takeaways. The most important advice for any Americans doing business in Germany is to be punctual, prepared, professional. Arrive on time, bring accurate information, and support your proposals with facts. Communicate clearly instead of exaggerating or making promises that might be difficult to keep. Americans should use titles and surnames instead of first names until you're invited to become more informal. It's also important to respect their privacy, of course, and keep separation between personal and private life. Direct feedback should be viewed as professional response rather than personal attacks. A few German phrases are Guten Tag, meaning hello or good day, Bitte meaning please, you're welcome, um, Dank meaning thank you. Although German business professionals usually speak English, using a few German phrases could demonstrate your preparation. For further learning, American professionals can consult the International Trade Administration Germany Country Commercial Guide. This provides educational resources and a cultural atlas. Um, Overall, Germany and the United States share values such as the individual achievement and direct communication. However, German business culture generally places greater emphasis on formality, structure, and privacy. Americans who understand and adapt to these differences will be better prepared to perform business in Germany.